So till now we have seen a number of concepts of Python, and all of those concepts were just our introduction part of the Python's concepts. From this onwards, we are going to dive inside all of these concepts so that we can understand Python in a more better manner. And for that, in this video, we will talk about literals and its types in Python. Hello everyone, this is Rajat Valecha and you are watching Computorial In. This is our new series Python Reloaded, and in this video we will talk about literals or constant values and their types in a detailed manner. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now the first question that may strike you is, what is a literal? What is a literal? So we can say that literals are nothing. These are just the constant values that you are writing inside your programs. So whenever we write any program, many a times we write a number of constant values. For example, you were calculating parameter of any area. Okay, so formula that you will write, it will be 4 into s or 4 into sides. Now in this case, this p and this sides are variable. Okay, so these two things are the variables. This symbol over here, it is an operator. But if we talk about this 4 can be called as a literal. This 4 is a literal value, that is a fixed value, and this value will not change during the program execution or even after the program execution. So this simply means that this value 4 will remain constant for the entire life cycle of the program. Even when you will reload the program and you will run this program once again, this value 4 will be there as it is. It means without any further changes. Okay, so these kind of values are generally considered as the literal values, or we can also call them as the constant values. Now if we talk about type of literals, if we talk about type of literals, so literal are classified into various categories. So we will just talk about, you can say, a gist of those things. The first we have is string literal, then we have numeric literals, we have boolean literals, we have literal corrections, and the last category that we have is called as special literals. So these are the four categories that we have, that is string, numeric, boolean, literal collection and special literals. The first category that we have here is string literals. Okay, the first category of literals that we have to understand is called as the string literals. Now the first question arises, that is, what is a string actually? So if we talk about this, what, so string simply is a character, or in other terms we can say that set of characters, set of characters. So when a number of characters are written together, it forms a string. For example, all of this thing that I have written just now, these are made up of characters, so it can be called as a string. Let's assume I am writing hello, so this hello will be a string. If I am writing my name Rajat, so this Rajat will be a string. If I am writing Python, so this Python will be a string. Okay, so whatever you will write that is made up of with characters. Characters means A to Z in small, A to Z in capital, all the numbers and all the special symbols or normal symbols that we have in the normal character coding formats. These all, when they are combined together, when some of these are combined together, it is called as a string. Okay, these string values are not mathematically suitable, so these values cannot be used for maths purpose. You cannot perform maths with these values. And one more thing, if we talk about the string constants, so generally these strings are written in single quotes or in double quotes, or in some cases inside triple quotes as well. So we'll talk about each of these just now in a detailed manner. Now when you write a single word or a single character that is only having a few things without much spaces, you can use these single quotes. Okay, for example, I had a character A, or I have a word Rajat. For all such scenarios, we can use single quotes. When inside any string you have a possibility of using a single quote, in such a case you can use double quotes. Let's say I am saying Python's library. Okay, so this is a string, you can see, where we are using this single quote as apostrophe. So in such a case, if we wrap this thing in single quotes like this will not make any sense to Python, because this will make Python to think about this comma as well. Let me show you this practically what I am saying. So if I am writing in single quotes hello, Python won't say anything to it, and it will be run without any issues. Even if I'll write a single character, there is no problem with that. If I do the same thing with the double quotes, there is no issue. You can see it is working fine. Even if I write this thing with 3 triple quotes, okay, it will work properly. But now let's talk about the most important thing. Let's suppose I have to write Python's. So I have written Python's apostrophe s, and then I'm writing library. Now when I will press the enter key, you can see it is saying there is one error. The error is that when it will encounter this apostrophe, it will consider this apostrophe as an, you can say, string marker. So this will show error to us. Now what we can do is, for writing or for typing such a sentence, in place of using single quotes, we can put double quotes like this, and when you will run this, it will work fine. But make sure that you don't have to put 2 quotes. Okay, this is double quotes, not 2 quotes. So if you will put 2 quotes, again you will get the error. So please keep this in your mind, that whenever you are writing a string like this, you always have to use double quotes. For a normal string, you can use single quotes. Okay, now let's assume I'm assuming a variable as a, and inside this variable I'm writing hello Python. This is Computorial In. If I'll do print this, you can see the variable has been executed, and if I type the variable name, it is working properly. Now let's say I wanted a line gap in this. Okay, now this is a very important thing that we all need to understand. Now let's say after this thing I wanted a line gap like this. I'm writing it again, that is hello Python, and you can see we cannot give a line gap over here. Let's open a new window, and in this new window let me give a line gap. Okay, I have given a line gap, and if I run it, if I execute this thing, if I print the value of a, it will definitely show us a error. That error will be that in a double quote string we cannot give line gaps. Okay, so if I print a over here, let me save this question with a name, let's say demo .py. So if I execute it, it will show us errors, that is, there is some error, this string is not closed properly. In such a case, when you have to write a multi-line string, what you can do is, you can simply put a slash like this in a Python string, and when you will execute this string now, the string will be printed properly. But you can see there is one little issue. That little issue is the string that we have written. Let me show you it once again. The string that we had written just now, that string executed properly, but this line gap is not visible to us. Now if you want a line gap, what you can do is, instead of using these double quotes, you can use triple quotes, and this is the beauty of Python. In Python, when you use triple quotes, with the help of these triple quotes, you can print multi-line strings as well, and the strings will appear in the way how you have written them inside the triple quotes. So inside this triple quotes, whatever you will write in whatever manner you will write, that thing will be printed as it is. Even if I give a number of spaces, even if I just like give a tab space over here, let me show you, let me put some tab spaces. Oh, sorry. So I have given a number of tab spaces, you can see. I've written this, I'm changing this into, like, I have given a few line gaps. Even if I save this and execute this thing, you can see it is printed as it is. Okay, so when you are working with the string literals, you have to make sure that what kind of quotation marks or inverted commas you are using in the scenario, because when you will use a double quotes, it will be a string. When you will use a single quotes, it will be a string. Even when you will use triple quotes, it will be a string in Python. But the beauty of Python is that when you use triple quotes, you can give multiple spaces in the string. Now let's talk about, so we have discussed a lot many things about string, right? Now let's talk about our second value type of literals, that is numeric values. But wait guys, there is one more thing I wanted to share with you all, and for that I just want you to switch to this window, that is Python's ideally shell. Okay, now let's suppose you wanted to print something like this. Okay, now let's see, you are printing something and you have used double quotes, and let's say I have written Rajat Valecha, that is my name. I have entered and we have got the name, right? Now let's suppose I want to give a line gap as well, and I don't want to show that line gap inside the string. Okay, in such a case what we can do is we have a number of special sequences in Python that we can use. In a minute I'll list all the sequences to you guys, but let me show you this important thing guys. If in case I write the slash n and if I print it, you can see the place where I have written the slash n, we will get a line gap. Similarly, we have one more thing. If we use a slash t like this and let me run it, you can see we will get a tab space. And if we give something else, let me show you, let's say I'm pressing say slash a. In some scenarios the slash a will give like simply alert the system buzzer. Okay, and some scenarios it will not. If we write slash single quote, let's suppose you want to print a single quote, you can use a slash single quote, it will print it. Okay, so whatever you will write with a single slash, okay, the slash symbol, that will be printed, and we have a number of formats as well that we can use. So here's a list of the special sequences that I was talking about just now. So you can see for double slash we can use this thing, for single quote we can use this, we can use this for double quotes, this can be used for a bell, and this can be used for a backspace, form feet, and we have n number of special sequences like these. These are also called as scape sequences. We call them as scape sequences, and we use them inside our strings for a number of purposes. Now if I talk about the most popular one that we all will use is slash n, because the slash n is generally used, it is generally used for a line gap or for a line change. Okay, so this was a lot about the, you can say, string literals. Now let's move to our second category, that will be the integer literals or numeric literals. Okay, in numeric literals we have a number of categories. Now let's talk about each of those categories in a detailed manner. The next category is numeric. These numeric literals, if you remember later on, earlier I have told you that we have a number of categories here. We have integer values, we have float values, and we have complex numbers as well in Python. These are three categories that we can do with Python and the numeric values: integer, float, and complex. Let me show you all of these three categories practically first of all. Well, if I do write a equals to 5, Python will assume this variable a as of integer type, and if I do write this variable a as of 5.5, Python will assume this variable a this time as of float type, you can see. And if I assume this variable as of any complex number type, that is, let's say 3 plus j4, let me press the enter key, we can see that we are getting an error here, right? Now there is a reason behind this error. So now you can see when we have written it like this, we are not getting any error, right? So now the most important thing is that whenever you are working with the complex numbers, make sure that in the second part where you are writing that J symbol, it has to be at the end of your numbers. And now if I type of A, it will show you the type as the complex number, if you can see the window properly, right? So these are the few types that we have in Python, and this is how basically these numeric values work in Python. Now the beauty of Python is that when you perform some operations with these values do change accordingly with the type of operation that you are performing. For example, right now I'm doing 5 by 2, and you can see we have got the answer in 2.5. We know that 5 was an integer value, 2 was an integer value, but the answer that you have got, it is a float value. Okay, So Python is very dynamic in nature, and it will perform all of these operations without any glitch or without any issue instantly. Well, not only this much, in Python we can also store numbers with positive or negative symbols like this, okay? And not only this much, we can also write the other number systems that we have. Well, if you have learned a computers a bit, you know that we have four types of basic number systems. We have binary number system, we have decimal number system, we have octal number system, and then we have hexadecimal number system. So when you are writing these values, you can use all of these number systems as well. By default, the number system that a Python use, it is the decimal number system. So for this one, we don't have any special technique to use, but for these three categories, we have some special techniques that we need to understand. Now let's talk about all of these one by one practically. So let me quickly open the IDLE window. So in Python, whenever you are defining any octal value, we have a rule that we have to keep in our mind, that is, before any octal value, we have to add a 0 and a O. In case of binary numbers, we can add a 0 and a B. In case of hexadecimal numbers, we can add a 0 and a X in the number. This X basically indicates that the value that you are typing in, that value is an octal value. So let me show you how this actually works. So I have written 0 B 0110. So you can see it has been printed properly, and if I write type of a, sorry, so it is saying it is of integer type because the value that we have written, it is a proper integer value of binary type. Okay, similarly we can use other types as well. Let's say I have written type of, inside this I am writing type 0 x 123, something like this. So you can see this saying it is int. And similarly we can also work with the octal value. Okay, so this is how we can represent all of these number systems in Python by using these few notations, that is 0b, 0o and 0x. Okay, so this will convert your number to a binary form. It means Python will read that number as a binary number, and if you will write something incorrect, so Python will show you the errors as well. Let's suppose I have written a equals to 0b121. So you can see it is saying it is an error because we are saying it is a binary number and we have given a 2 in the binary number, and which is actually logically a wrong conversion. Let's say I am saying it is 0o, okay, and over here I am writing a value as 7. So you can see it has been accepted and it is working properly as well. But if I just simply copy this thing and like print this thing over here, and if I add a 9 at the back, it will show you error because 9 is not a part of octal number system. In octal number system we can only have 8 digits from 0 to 7. Okay, so this is how Python will dynamically work with these values. Now let's talk about our next concept of this video. So next we have exponent form. In Python we can also express values in exponent form. It means when you have big numbers, you can easily write them in Python. Those who are learning mathematics, those who are learning physics or chemistry, you must have seen that in physics and chemistry we have a number of exponents given there. For example, when we talk about Avogadro number, when we talk about speed of light, you all must have used some big notations, right? So all such notations can easily be expressed in Python as well by using that similar symbol e. So we have that same, you can say, concept over here. We have exponent part, we have mantissa part, just like the mathematics. Now let me write a number and let me show you what I am trying to say. Let's suppose I have written 12e12. You can see it will print it like this. 12e12 means that 12 multiplied by 10 to the power 12. Okay, so not 12 multiplied by, it should be like 0.12 multiplied by. So it is 12 multiplied by 10 to the power 12. Okay, similarly if I do write it like this, that is 1.5 this and this and this e, and you can say a 4, so it will work properly. But there are a few rules that you need to keep in your mind, that is, you cannot leave this e without any value. You cannot use small e as well. Okay, so if I am writing this capital E, it will be an error. If I am writing 1.3 and a E and then I have written a decimal value, it will be an error. But if in all of the above cases, if I am writing 1.3 E1, it will be fine. If I am writing 1.3 E1, it will be fine, you can see. Okay, and if I am writing it like this, that is 1.3 e 23, that will be fine as well, but because it is a very big number, so it will not convert this number for us. Okay, so this is how Python will basically treat your floating values and the real numbers as well. The next category that we have is called as Boolean literals. Okay, in Boolean literals, when we have answers in the form of true or false, all such values are called as the Boolean literals. Let me show you how. If in our console window we type, let's say this, a equals to true, this value will not be accepted, because when we write these Boolean values, we have to write them with the capitals. We have to start them with the capital. And if I'm writing b equals to false, now let's check the type of a, sorry, so you can see it is saying it is bool, and if I do check the type of b, it is saying it is also bool. Okay, now let's say if I am saying a and b, so we are getting a value as false. Now you must be thinking what is happening over here, and what is this a and b? So this and is an operator that we are using. This a is a Boolean value of type true, b is also a Boolean value of type false, and when we are performing an AND operation, it, well, if in case both the values are true, in that case the AND will give you the answer as true. The next we have is special literals. Okay, now in Python, when you don't want to assign any variable with any value, we have a value that is none. This constant value can be assigned to any value in Python. Let me show you how. So if I am writing a equals to none, this value can be assigned to Python, and if I do check the type of this a, it will say it is of none type. Okay, there's one more thing, let's check this. In some programming languages we have a value null, so this null is not is working in Python. In case of this null, we can use the value as none. Okay, and this none has a type that is none type value. Okay, so this is the special literal. So we have basically three special literals, that is Boolean, that is true, false, and none value. Okay, now at last we have literal collections. We have literal collections. So if you remember, on our previous session, on our previous video about data types, we have talked about some values like list, tuple, set, and dictionary. So all of these are called as the literal collections. If in Python you print, if in Python you write any statement like this, let's say I have written a equals to 3 comma 4, Python will not show you any error, because Python will store both of these numbers 3 and 4 inside this variable a. Now this 3 comma 4 that is written over here just now, it is a tuple representation of value. This a that was converted to 3 comma 4, this was a tuple representation of value, and this is what it is called as literal collection. For these literal collections, we have a special unit, we have special videos, we will like to discuss about this in detailed manner in the upcoming sessions, so we will talk about it later on. So this is all for this video, guys. So with this we are finishing it off. In the next video we'll talk about some more interesting concepts of Python. Till then, if you haven't subscribed us yet, please go and subscribe us now, and if you haven't liked the video yet, please go and smash the like button. Thank you so much, guys, and stay tuned.